Geordies, we're back to finding a Joelinton replacement or backup for next season. And these three players are going to be interesting because one you've heard of, definitely because he plays in the Premier League. One you might not have heard of, but I'm sure you have. And one you probably haven't heard of. So we're going to be breaking them all down, looking at their strengths, weaknesses, and how they compare to Joelinton, and if they would be a good fit for Newcastle United under an Eddie Howe system. This is episode 2. If you haven't already, go and watch episode 1. But also don't forget to include any players that you want me to compare to Joelinton in the comments below. But if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are returning, make sure you hit that like button. So let's get into it, because I want to start with Lesley Ugochukwu because we know about him. He's currently at Chelsea. It looks like he's going to be on the market because Chelsea are just signing midfielders left, right and centre. So obviously they're going to have to make room for all these midfielders coming in. He's been on loan at Southampton. They've been relegated, but he's actually put in some very strong performances. And I watched a lot of Lesley Ugochukwu at youth level because I watched a lot of Rennes for Matthias Tell, and he was unbelievable. If I could pick one player that was going to make it in senior football, it would have been Lesley Ugochukwu, just because of his style, his presence. He's got the elements to really succeed in football. So I actually think he would be a great addition to Newcastle United. He's 21. He was born in 2004. He stands at 6'3". He's actually made 100 senior appearances. He's missed 203 days, 37 games through injury, and his market value is around £25 million. I'm guessing Chelsea are going to want about 35 million because they spent about 30 on him when you include the add-ons. So he's known for his technical abilities, his ball control, passing accuracy, and his strong physical presence. He boasts a remarkable physicality, evidenced by his impressive aerial duel wins, and he's also ground duel percentage wins, showcasing a tenacity that inserts physical dominance in the midfield, exactly what Joelinton does. His style of play leans towards ball retention, security, because he's adept at keeping possession. He's a box-to-box midfielder. That's how he came through it in Rennes. However, he's been featured heavily as a defensive midfielder, both at Chelsea and Southampton. He's a strong technical base, two-footed passing. He's got unbelievable athleticism that extends the range of defensive actions. He's a tackler, he's an interceptor, he's a good duel winner, and he recovers the ball. He holds his own in duels. Now, where he differs to Joelinton, as you all know, Joelinton's a physical beast. He's got muscles coming out of muscles, whereas Ugochukwu is a lot more lean, he's a lot more rangy, but it actually gives him the advantage in duels because it gives him a large zone of control. But what I do like about him, he's extremely disciplined, he's got good positional awareness, and that's important in an Eddie Howe system. He presses well, he recovers a lot of possession, and he positions himself very well. Where he does lack is lack of creativity and cutting edge in the final third, but also expansive passing range. However, this can be down to the lack of movement that he has at Southampton. So if you put him in a better environment with better forwards, with more intelligent forwards that make better runs, I'm sure his passing range would improve. It's not about the man in possession that finds the pass. It's the movement that creates the pass. The movement dictates the pass. And I just feel like at Southampton, the lack of movement, the lack of chemistry between their squad allows him not to stand out or shine in that area. He does need a refinement in the passing department, but it's not as bad as what it looks. And then we'll move on to Richard Rios. And I'm surprised this kid is still in South America. I thought he would have been playing in Europe by now because he's been excellent. He's got all the elements to play in Europe. And by the way, I am going to compare all these three players together and Joelinton at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But he's 24, born in 2004. He stands at 6'2". Now, he's a lot more like Joelinton. He's got a lot more muscle about him than Lesley Ugochukwu. He's got no injuries to date, and he's very experienced, playing 151 games in senior football. His market value is around £15 million. I think you will get him for that because Palmeiras only spent 1.3 million on him. So if they can get a profit of £15 million, then they'll be happy with that. So he would come quite cheap. He's known for his technical abilities, ball control, passing accuracy, and his strong physical presence. He's versatile, who can play in several different roles, and we've seen that at Palmeiras and with Colombia. He plays in completely different roles for the both teams, but he excels and shines in them both. His presence in midfield gives strong stability, and his ability to transition quickly from a defense to attack is extraordinary, and I think that would work well in a Newcastle system. He's dynamic, he's brilliantly balanced between attack and defence, and he's an excellent ball carrier. He's got excellent and impressive dribbling skills that allows him to evade opponents effectively, displays good agility, and he's comfortable dribbling and progressing the ball through the middle of the pitch. He's got excellent ball retention skills, ability to retain, shield, save the ball in moments under pressure. He excels in his ball recoveries. He's a hard worker off the ball. He's a strong dribble, and he's adept at breaking up play. He's good at anticipating play and just blocking out passing lanes from the opposition. He's tenacious, he's hard-working defensively, and he excels in a role in a 4-3-3 system with Colombia. That's the same system as that Newcastle plays, so I've got no doubt he can fit into this system. Where he does lack is his passing can be erratic at times. Sometimes he tries to force things when there's a better option just to recycle possession. His positional discipline, sometimes he does go into wide areas when it's not needed. Sometimes he does get caught out wandering, but I think Eddie Howe's proven that he's a good coach. And this is something that he can coach into him just to maintain his structure and help the spine of the team. But he also lacks the ability to control the game from a deep line position. Well, I think he could play that Sandro Tonali role because he's given the license to get forward as well. But what I'm saying is, if we were to change to play with a lone 6 midfielder, I don't think he's capable of doing that. I prefer him much more when he's playing as a double pivot or in a midfield 3. Then my next player, Ibrahima Bangoura, and you probably haven't heard of this bloke because he's just come on the scene this season. He's just moved to Genk this season. He's only made 35 senior appearances in Europe, but he's been absolutely excelling in all departments. He's been one of the best midfielders in Belgium this season, and he's earned his first call-up to his senior national team. That's how good he's been. He's 21, born in 2004. His market value is about £7 million. He's had no injuries to date, which is brilliant. The only worry about him is a lack of experience. But you know what? You can come in as an understudy to Joelinton. Remember, we don't have to replace Joelinton. We're just looking for a future long-term replacement. So if he can come in and learn up from Joelinton, learn the role, learn from Bruno, learn from Tonali, it's just going to boost his confidence and make him a better player. But he's currently making a name for himself in Belgium. His consistently strong performances are backed now by statistical recognition. He's excelling defensively with a diverse defensive skill set. He can tackle, intercept, block, and make crucial ball recoveries. Combination of work rate, awareness, physicality, and technical ability, and this is proven in his statistics point of view. His style of play is underpinned by exceptional defensive attributes. He's got a knack for intercepting passes, but that's matched with an impressive dual success rate. And even when you watch him play, you know how good this guy is. Just defensively very, very solid. And his ball recoveries and retention abilities are in the upper echelons, making him a crucial player in breaking up play from the opposition, but also recycling possession effectively for his own team. Now, I forgot to mention his height because that's quite important. He stands at 6'2". He might not have the muscle mass of Joelinton, but he's not as lean as Ugochukwu. He's somewhere in between, but he makes up for it for his tenacious work rate. He's so aggressive in duels, aggressive at winning the ball back, and he's got relentless energy. Where he does lack is creativity in the final third. His passing accuracy needs refinement, but that comes with more experience, in my opinion. He's a classic ball winner. Room for improvement, of course, but he can become an influential player further up the pitch in the future. And here's how the three compare to each other. And I think the most standout one is ball recoveries. As you can see, Bangoura and Rios are ranking so highly in ball recoveries. Ugochukwu not so bad, but he's not as good as the other. Ball retention skills, I think this is important. Rios takes more risks with these balls. He looks to dribble in difficult areas. He looks to take risks with his passing. Whereas Ugochukwu and Bangoura are more comfortable, look to recycle possession, only dribble when it's necessary. When it comes to chance creation, I think all three need to improve. Rios has got a little bit more creativity than the others, but I think Bangoura, because of the role he plays at Genk, he's not tasked with creating any chances. His task is literally to sit in front of the back four and just protect and shield the back four. That's what he's tasked with. Something similar to Ugochukwu, but when it comes to progressing the play through ball carrying and passing, Bangoura is outstanding. One of my favourite things about him is his ability to always want to play forward. He always wants to put the ball into dangerous areas, and I love that quality in a midfielder. I think Rios is a very, very, very strong ball carrier. His passing from deep areas needs to improve. Same with Lesley Ugochukwu. when it comes to ball carrying, I think all three of them can do it. And I think this would just add an extra dimension to Newcastle's game, because Joelinton, he can carry the ball, but his preference is to carry the ball over 5 yards and then release it into players that are more creative, more dangerous in the final third. And I think these three can really progress the team into another third if they were to play this role. And here's how all three compare to Joelinton. And again, I've looked at the most crucial parts and elements of a midfielder: tackles, tackles won, dribblers tackled, interceptions, then how they progress play. As you can see from tackles, all four of them make a high majority of tackles per 90. They're all contribute defensively. Now, it's important to win most of your tackles, in my opinion. There's no point making a tackle if you're not winning it. And as you can see, a lot of them win a large percentage. In fact, Joelinton averages the least amount of tackles and wins the least amount of tackles. So I wouldn't be worried for these three stopping transitional play, because that's what we want to do as Newcastle United. We want to win the ball as high up the pitch and as early as possible, because that gives you the best opportunity of creating chances and better chances. So these three players would actually fit us when it comes to defending transition moments. Now, another important role of Joelinton is stopping dribblers. He's tasked with stopping dribbling transitions from the opposition. Now, Joelinton ranks the highest for that, 55.1%. When it comes to the other three, they're not too far away. So again, I would feel so comfortable in trusting these players to come in and do a job defensively. When it comes to interceptions, Richard Rios is best at reading games, and I mentioned about his work rate. He covers a lot of pitch, a lot of the ground, and that's why his discipline lacks a little bit, because he wants to do everything. He wants to be everywhere. A little bit like Sandro Tonali, but and that's why I think if he was to come to Newcastle United, you would have to coach him into learning the role, learning his discipline shape. But when it comes to interceptions, blocking passing lanes, I've got no worries about him. Now, this is important. Progressive carries, progressive passes, because I think if we're going to upgrade on Joelinton, these are two significant areas that we do need to improve on, because Newcastle want to transition quickly, and the way you do that is by progressing passes, progressing carries. If you want to know the difference between a progressive carry and a forward carry, and a progressive pass and a forward pass is just when you play the ball forwards into, for example, a centre-back just playing into a centre midfielder. A progressive pass is one where you play a forward pass, but it transitions your full team into a different third. Now, that's so important for a quick counter-attacking team like Newcastle United. And as you can see, progressive carries, Joelinton's ranking highly, but he's not too far away from the others. The others aren't too far away from him. So I think in a team that plays in transition moments, those numbers would increase. When it comes to progressive passes, as you can see, Richard Rios, he's got that vision. He wants to play the ball forwards, but so is Bangoura. He's not too far away from Richard Rios. So they've all got the elements to play this Joelinton role, in my opinion. Now, the one thing all three would have to learn is being comfortable on the left-hand side and being able to cover for the left-back, because Joelinton plays an important role in allowing Lewis Hall or Tino Livramento to bomb forward, and he covers that left-back position. That's something all three would have to learn, because all three at the minute are playing more centrally. They're playing centrally in the midfield 2 or as a lone pivot. Not many of them are playing in the midfield 3 unless it's Richard Rios for Colombia, and he plays more on the right than the left. So they would have to just learn the role, but in terms of elements, profiles, attributes, they all fit the bill, in my opinion. But look, it's not just all about my opinion. I want to know your opinion. What do you make of these three? Is this something that you would occupy? I think all three would come with an element of risk, but I think the reward would completely outweigh the risk, because these three signings wouldn't be as expensive as others. And that's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes we need to be a little bit more creative in the transfer market, because we've got a lot of bodies to bring in. So if we can get somebody at a cheaper price just to improve slightly, then it's worthwhile, in my opinion. But if you've got any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. But if you enjoy any of these players, let me know in the comments below, because I find them fascinating profiles. I'm really enjoying these series, making these series, because I find it fascinating comparing players to each other. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, away the lads.